Don't get me wrong, if the trailers looked good, I still would not be going to see the new Fantastic Beasts movie, but I am happy that they decided to make it easy for me and the trailers look bad and the movie looks bad. That's coming from someone who has a crush on 50% of the cast. This movie has Ezra Miller in it, and nothing in me wants to see it. I have already written, filmed, and edited a new Twilight video, and I have already written a new Encanto video, but at the moment this is the topic that I would like to address. Greetings and salutations, beautiful humans. This is the Amity Elf here. My previous username was Amity Ravenclaw Elf. I removed the Ravenclaw part because J.K. Rowling's a TERF, and that's kind of the subject of this video. So there's this woman on the Twitter whose name is Joanne. She says a lot of bad things, that Joanne, and this didn't just start recently. She's been saying bad things for a while, but it's now come to a point where it is actively irresponsible to continue indulging or platforming or supporting her. Support that goes her way is being pretty directly funneled towards harmful policies and movements. So if you're one of the many people who enjoyed Harry Potter as a child or adult or whatever age, and you want to find that same enjoyment in a different property, fortunately, that's a very easy thing to do. It's very derivative, actually. Obviously, it was popular for a reason, people enjoyed it for a reason, but one of the interesting things about growing older is realizing that a lot of the things I considered creative about Harry Potter was just British. As a child, I was going, oh man, prefects, what a novel idea, who would come up with such a thing? It's just British. Most of what I considered fun and new about Harry Potter was either British or mythology I had not yet been exposed to because I was 5. This isn't gonna be a video of me laying into Harry Potter. Because J.K. Rowling is by so many metrics being a not good person, there is the growing narrative of making fun of Harry Potter fans. I think it is important to clarify, it's not bad to have liked Harry Potter. It's not bad to have loved Harry Potter and enjoyed the characters and things like that. A lot of people in the impacted communities that J.K. Rowling is causing harm to loved Harry Potter as children and feel very betrayed by the fact that she is doing and saying the things that she is doing and saying. I know that a lot of the people saying Harry Potter fans are second-class citizens and, you know, those kinds of internet things are doing so to try to discourage people from continuing to support J.K. Rowling and to cast moral judgment saying, hey, if you're continuing to support J.K. Rowling, that's a bad thing, you should not be doing that. But I think a lot of the time the way that they go about it implies that having liked Harry Potter is bad. Basically, instead of just saying continuing to support J.K. Rowling is bad, you shouldn't be doing it, it is morally wrong, they kind of take a middle school bully approach and say, oh, it's lame and uncool and stuff like that. And it's like, no, go the moral route. If you're just saying, oh, liking Harry Potter is bad because you're a nerd, then you're not addressing the problem. I'm probably just being pedantic. It just feels like muddying the motive makes it difficult to actually clarify what the problem is. Like, there are a lot of people who are saying, please don't support Harry Potter because J.K. Rowling is actively being harmful to these communities. So when you jump in saying, yeah, and her stuff isn't good and the characters aren't interesting, heh heh heh, it's like, okay, well, I mean, sure, but you're kind of taking attention away from the actual problem. You're pulling the attention away from, hey, here's what J.K. Rowling is doing and it's bad, to, hey, you're a grown-up who likes a book for children? That's so cringy. And it's like, I mean, that's not where the... I guess the problem that I have with it is that it's similar to when people insult the appearance of public figures and it's like, oh, isn't this politician fat? And it's like, okay, listen, the politician does and says bad things. He forwards bad policies. You don't need to create these quarrels with him that are harmful to fat people who aren't him. The things that are wrong with this politician are not related to his appearance. Saying, ha ha ha, he's fat, is just saying, I am not a safe person for fat people to be around. Focus on the actual problem, not these little cosmetic problems that are fun to make fun of. I think I addressed that in a way that made sense. Let's move on. If you guys want a video of me just like roasting Harry Potter, I can do that. But this is very specifically going to be a video in which I look at the most popular Harry Potter ships on AO3 and tell you how you can find that exact same ship dynamic in a different work of media, just helping to migrate over to something else. So let me pull up the good old AO3 machine and see what we're working with. Okay, pulling up the Harry Potter tag on AO3. I'm going to open up the relationships tag to see the most popular ones. Okay, the most popular AO3 ships for Harry Potter at the time I'm recording this video are as follows: Draco and Harry, Sirius and Remus, Hermione and Draco, James and Lily, Hermione and Ron, Harry and Snape, Harry and Ginny, Hermione and Snape, Harry and Tom, Hermione and Harry. Okay, so I'm just gonna start at the top of this thing and work my way down, tell you which ships would be a good substitute for the ship in question. Drarry, Draco, and Harry. Okay, this one is pretty much a one-to-one substitution. They are basically the same ship. Drarry can very easily be substituted with Nyagami, however you pronounce it, Byakuya, and Makoto from Danganronpa. It works if you're looking for personality, and it works if you're looking for like the shared trauma angle. Pretty much by every metric, Byakuya Togami and Makoto Naegi from Danganronpa as a ship are analogous to Harry and Draco. Byakuya is a rich and generally mean guy who undergoes character development to make him more snarky than mean towards the end of it. Makoto is the main protagonist who is heroic and all about hope. Pretty much anything you can do with Drarry, you can also do with this ship. Byakuya has said and done horrible things. He has insulted people, he has humiliated people, he has actively almost gotten everybody killed deliberately just for the fun of it. To say more would be a spoiler, but Byakuya is up to a lot. He's also said and done good things after aforementioned character development. This means that depending on how rough of a ship you're going for, you can work with either Byakuya's pre-arc characterization or Byakuya's post-arc characterization. So if you want frosty, mean Draco with kind Harry, you can do that with pre-arc Byakuya. And if you want defrosting Draco with Harry, then you can do post-arc Byakuya. In canon, despite looking down on literally every character, Byakuya has a pattern of behavior in which he seeks out Makoto's company to accomplish tasks and things like that. It's a means to an end, but he does specifically seek out Makoto a lot of the time. Even before his character development starts, I mean. When he's still a terrible person, he is seeking out Makoto's company. As far as the shared trauma thing that I mentioned earlier goes, you can just look up the premise of Danganronpa and there you go. Disclaimer, Danganronpa does have some iffy representation in pretty much every area you can have iffy representation, but it's still better than Harry Potter just by the metric of J.K. Rowling is actively being anti-trans and racist and stuff, and the creators of Danganronpa aren't forwarding any cause. They just had some clumsy and harmful representation. Separate conversation, worthy conversation, but if you're trying to move away from Harry Potter, moving towards Danganronpa would still be an upgrade. In fact, I would be willing to make a video where I talk about things that Danganronpa did wrong, because it was pretty bad when it was bad, I gotta say. Okay, next up is Wolfstar, which is Remus and Sirius. Personality-wise, I think a good substitute for Wolfstar would be Val D'Angelo from the Heroes of Olympus series. Val D'Angelo is, of course, Leo Valdez and Nico D'Angelo. Leo is a boisterous Stepford snarker character type. He's outwardly cheerful, and in this case he's being shipped with a more outwardly brooding and sickly looking guy who is ostracized for something outside of his own control. Remus in the Harry Potter series is ostracized because he's a werewolf. Nico in the Percy Jackson series is ostracized because he's the son of Hades. So personality-wise, Val D'Angelo is a good replacement ship for Wolfstar. For general vibes, Zuko could also be a pretty good substitute ship. Zuko is Zuko and Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Zuko, like Sirius, is a character who's trying to be good despite his family's history. Sokka is from the Water Tribe, which means he is a victim of the Fire Nation's imperialism, which you can kind of say is like werewolves being oppressed, except it's better because it's not a weird bad AIDS metaphor. And like Remus and Sirius, Sokka and Zuko can pass the brain cell back and forth. Okay, Dramione, Draco and Hermione. This is for your enemies to lovers stuff, opposite sides of the war, etc. I have 4 options for this one, and one honorable mention that I don't like but should throw out there. The honorable mention is Raylo, and I'm sorry I brought it up. But here are the 4 viable solutions. There's Togiri. This is another Byakuya ship. This time it's Byakuya and Kyoko Kirigiri from Danganronpa. Kyoko is the smartest character in the first Danganronpa. She's a super confident problem solver. This one isn't a one-to-one parallel because Kyoko is not as openly emotional as Hermione is. She is significantly more sympathetic and caring than Byakuya is. So the dynamic of smart, compassionate girl and rich guy who doesn't care about people is still carried forward, but Kyoko isn't as emotional as Hermione. Basically, a lot of what can be written for the Dramione ship can also be written for Togiri. But if Kyoko isn't a good stand-in for Hermione, then there is also Asahina. Shipping Byakuya and Hina can also be a Dramione ship. Hina isn't characterized as being very smart, like she's not stupid, but the characters often consider her ditzy and stuff. But she is very emotional and she has slapped Byakuya in the face, which is a pretty Hermione thing to do. Hina is very caring for her friends and loyal and loving. I think Hina is actually a pretty good Hermione if you're willing to sacrifice the book smarts. Really though, I think what a lot of people are chasing when they ship Dramione is just like Zutara. Zutara is Zuko and Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender. They have the opposite sides of a war thing in which Zuko is part of the oppression side and Katara is part of the rebellion side. Katara basically is Hermione but better. Zuko is the soft, abused boy, nevertheless complicit in war crimes that the fandom likes to pretend Draco is. Katara can demonstrate both Hermione's intelligence and her passion and boldness and emotionality. Because Zuko overall isn't as mean as Draco is, this ship would be be softer than Dramione. So if the lack of smooth sailing in the Dramione ship is part of it for you, I could instead recommend Zele and Inan from Children of Blood and Bone. Again, we have opposite sides of a war. Again, we have he's on the oppression side, she's on the rebellion side. Except this time they take you on an emotional roller coaster and you cry. Next up, James and Lily, Harry's mom and dad. Okay, genuinely, I think you can very easily work this into Percabeth, which is Percy and Annabeth from the Percy Jackson series. Mischievous guy who is fiercely loyal to his friends, Percy. Smart girl betrayed by someone she trusted and cared about for years, Annabeth. And if you're going to defend the character I just referenced, I know, just work with me here. Luke, I mean. If you're going to defend Luke, I understand. But if you're going to defend Snape, why? Like, why? Here and now, why? Next up we have Romione, which is Ron and Hermione, and I really have trouble thinking that anyone is staying in the Harry Potter fandom for them. I don't think I know anything that is unique about this dynamic. That's not me saying that I don't like Romione or that I prefer Harry with Hermione. I don't. I get finding them cute together. I just can't imagine someone saying, no, I can't let go of Harry Potter. Where else am I going to get a ship like Romione? Oh, you mean some friends who end up dating? The girl with book smarts who ends up dating the guy with general worldly knowledge and common sense? I'm not trying to be mean here, but I feel like this one is just pick a piece of media in which boys and girls interact and you'll find something. How about Will and Tessa from Infernal Devices? Madge and Gale from The Hunger Games? There you go! I don't think that this is a popular tag because people are specifically writing Romione fanfictions that they are passionate about. I think it's a popular tag because if you're writing a story that isn't about Ron or Hermione's love life, it's more convenient to just put them with their canon love interest than justify doing something else with them. But if you are super invested in Romione, cool? It should be easy to switch over, I think. Harry and Snape. This one squicks me a bit, not the least because most of the examples I can think of for the character type of guy who hated your father and wants to marry your mother are like the protagonist's uncle, like from Hamlet. I guess the dynamic of Harry and Snape is not dissimilar to Jacob and Renesmee from Twilight, but also I'd love to stop talking about this. I'm sure there's a Cassandra Clare example you can pull. There are a lot of weird dynamics in Cassandra Clare books. Granted, the weird dynamics there are mostly sibling stuff. Harry and Ginny, Spider-Man and MJ, Superman and Lois Lane. Next question. Hermione and Snape. I feel like this ship is just for if you want the same thing the Harry Snape people want, but you want it to be straight. This one has less of an offspring of my crush thing going on and more of a reincarnation of my crush thing going on, since lots of fan works like to characterize Lily as basically Hermione of the past. So you could probably like ruin some Avatar The Last Airbender characters to get this dynamic. Someone with unrequited love for a past Avatar falling in love with the current Avatar. Or again, Cassandra Clare, ship Clary and Luke. I shouldn't have said any of this. This is very much not my ballpark. Just tag it. You know your ship is cursed. Harry and Tom. Alright, hero and villain share a connection. They share very similar past traumas, and they're prophesied to fight to the death. Let's do this. First thing that comes to mind is Percy and Luke from Percy Jackson. That might just be because I've been talking about Percy Jackson a lot. They were both embittered by their treatment as demigods and as sons of absentee fathers, but they chose different sides of the war. This one feels like a shaky comparison, but there's something there. Bean and Ashiel from the Shadow Saga. Person Scott Card is a homophobe, though. Anyway, I shipped Ashiel with Petra more when I was reading the books as a kid. Honestly, I feel like if the Star Wars sequel trilogy had bothered to dig into Finn as a character, he could have had an interesting dynamic with Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren was raised to be on the light side, but turned away from it when personally slighted. Finn was raised to be on the dark side, but turned away from it because he couldn't bear to hurt innocent people. That parallel is unconscionably unexamined, especially considering there's so much less of a connection between Kylo Ren and Rey. Finn is canonically Force sensitive, and the dumb Force dyad thing between Kylo and Rey wasn't established until later in the series, so there's potential there. Reylo does provide the same mystical connection that Tom and Harry have, but again, they just kind of made that up later on, so you could just make it up for Finn and Kylo. Honestly, I feel like the more canon legwork there was for Reylo, the less interested I became in them. In The Force Awakens, I was basically comfortable with the idea that Finn Rey was being hinted as the canon ship, and then Kylo Ren has a creepy crush on Rey. We love a creepy crush from a villain. And then Finn Poe was a ship that I would have loved to see happen, but didn't believe they would make canon. And then they went and gave both Finn and Poe nothing, and inexplicably pushed Kylo and Rey together canonically, and I hated it. I was so comfortable with Kylo and Rey being the dark ship that you indulge in if you're looking for darkness, and then Finn and Poe or Finn and Rey are the more sweet and loving ship that you look to for fluff. But then somehow they decided, no, actually Reylo's gonna be the fluffy one. I guess because they're both white. I've gone off topic. What I was saying was that Finn and Kylo Ren could have a connection similar to Tom and Harry if their personalities and pasts were to be examined. I just looked up hero hero-villain parallels, and apparently there's a lot of that in My Hero Academia, which I still have not seen. Honestly, the main appeal I see for Tom and Harry as a romantic ship is either straight up yandere Tom and nice guy Harry, or yandere Tom and dark Harry, or Tom being casually wicked in a social everyday sense, but not actively evil, while Harry is the generally nice guy holding his leash like, hey, don't do that. And of course I'm assuming an AU in which they're the same age at the same time, which is not always the case in these kinds of stories. I've enjoyed the genre of fanfiction that is Harry adopts Tom or Tom adopts Harry, and whenever one of those gets a little too weird, I have to take a step back. I was reading a great Harry adopts Tom fic, and Tom started to have feelings for Harry, and I was like, okay, it's just a crush, he's a kid. And then, like, Harry started reciprocating, and it's like, no, you're a grown-up, you can't. And they justified it by being like, oh, well, Tom's growing up, and he's intelligent as an adult, so it's fine. And it's like, no, it's not! And then there was a Voldemort adopts Harry fanfiction where Voldemort mistakenly thinks that Harry is his son because Harry goes to the past and can speak Parseltongue. So Voldemort's like, oh man, that must be my kid. And Harry's like, yes. And then Voldemort starts developing feelings for Harry when he still thinks that he's his kid, and I'm just like, no though, no. So things like that will make me step back from a fic. This isn't me saying to like find those stories and say mean things to the writers. I'm just explaining situations in which I've had to stop partaking in particular stories. Last up is Harry and Hermione, and much like Romione, I can't imagine that anyone is staying in the fandom for Harry and Hermione. Again, it's not that I don't see how they can be cute together and how they can have nice moments, it's just that I don't see how their personalities make them special or set them apart from other ships of the same kind in different fandoms. I don't see anyone banging their hand on a desk demanding where else they can find this kind of chemistry. I don't know, Bella and Jacob, you want to write some Bella-Jacob fanfiction, presumably pre-Eclipse because that was when they were good together. It seems to me that the clear Harry ships are either Tom and Harry for the drama, Draco and Harry for the drama, or Harry and Luna for the personalities. That is also not exclusive to Harry Potter because any Luna ship can be recreated either in the Aragon universe with Angela the Herbalist or in the Danganronpa universe with Angie Yanaga. So that's all of them. This was a different type of video. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on the recommendations that I've made. By the time I post the next Twilight video, I'm pretty sure the next Encanto video will be locked and loaded, so do let me know what else you might want me to make a video about. I believe I've gotten some reaction requests that were pretty interesting, so I might do that. And I have some other ideas just kind of cooking in my brain, so stay tuned. Have a great day. Please don't watch Fantastic Beasts, and if you do, please don't watch it in a way that will provide J.K. Rowling with any money or attention. Preferably just don't watch it at all, though. I think it'd be better if you just don't watch it at all. Also, she has an app coming that's bad, doesn't she? Like, people were saying, oh yeah, she has this game app that's bad that's coming, where she has this whole anti-Semitic narrative, and also you would be supporting J.K. Rowling. It's like, man, in every way that she can make herself bad to support, she is doing that. But yeah, drink water. Take a refreshing bath. Or shower. Maybe do a small chore around your immediate living space to make it more comfortable and clean for you. And have a great day.